All right, we're live.
And we are live. Another episode of We Gotta Believe. It's me, it's Kyle. KFC is on the IL, the DL, the blogger list. He's out. He was away for the weekend, was outside of the realm of the Mets universe, as I'm sure you guys can tell by his tweets. So it's me and Kyle. We're gonna handle this episode today. And as always, it is brought to you by our friends at Coors Light, the official beer of slowing down summer. We just want to chill, hang out. If you just want to do that and enjoy some refreshment, you got to get yourself a Coors Light. Because, Kyle, I'm enjoying summer right now. Are you enjoying summer right now, Kyle?
You know what? It feels like we're living on borrowed time. Every time we think something's bad's going to happen, something great happens. We go get Dick Mountain, and next thing you know, we're right back in the thick of it.
Dick Mountains, Blue Mountains, no matter what it is, it's going to help you chill throughout the summer, and that's why we love Coors Light, because Coors Light is the official beer of slowing down summer, because it's the beer that's made to chill. We want you to savor every second of summer. We want you to savor every second of Mets baseball. That's what we are. We've somehow become the positive Mets podcast. Everything's going to be all right, and even when we're negative, like Kevin was before the Pirates series, we end up being right. So, and trust me, we are not the right Mets podcast. I do not want to even throw that out there. We are always wrong, no matter how many times we can lecture people on different things, like a bunch of old assholes. We are never there's no such thing as the right Mets podcast, but we are the official podcast of chilling out. Get Coors Light in the new look delivered straight to your door with Drizzly or Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/believe. And as always, celebrate responsibly. Shout out to the Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. And I mean, kind of going back to what Kev said with the Pirates series, he was like, it's going to be, it's going to be bad here. It's going to, have a couple of tough losses, but you're going to get one of those nice little wins. It's going to make everything all right. And I wouldn't say I was expecting to lose or win this Blue Jay series, but the way that this team came through and, obviously Sunday of all days with the big comeback, God damn, that was a good series win right there.
I'm not going to lie. I mean, first of all, any Mets fan who's bashing Rojas, and I'm not a Rojas apologizer, but anyone who's bashing him for letting Rich Hill go through the third time through the order, I mean, you got a veteran out there. You almost got to ride with him. And then when he lets up those runs, I was like, shit, I don't think we're going to win. Little did I know that Pete Alonso is on a fucking tear of all tears. I mean, this dude, I legitimately think 35 is what Ohtani has. He better be checking the rear view, because here comes Alonso, and there's no stopping him when he gets hot.
Pete Alonso is the bar. He is the standard. He is the best power hitter in baseball. Don't look at your fucking numbers of the total for the season. That's like looking at batting average that counts in April and May. Pete was hurt. He couldn't get his power groove on, and then he obviously went on the injured list. He comes back, and that motherfucker is hitting fuck bombs left and right. He hits them when they really matter. He hits them in the beginning of the games to get a nice little bump before the pitching usually gives it back. Manfred is completely fucked baseball, by the way. The BEC cannot hit for a fucking lick, because everyone's scoring first run innings now because the sticky stuff is gone and all the spin rates are down and runs are just jumping up. But you know what? PD Fuckbomb is on fire right now. The shrug too, all-time Pete moment.
Oh my god! You know what? I know it's all premeditated with him. The home run horse, all that kind of shit. He's like, the second he starts clicking, and I knew the home run derby was going to benefit his swing. He just needs to go out there and try to. And out of anybody that I've ever seen, he's the dude that goes up there and he's like, I'm going to try to annihilate every single baseball I make contact with. He's not going for any cheap hits. Every ball he hits is 115 miles an hour. And now his strikeout rate's down and his hard contact's up, and this is what's happening.
Dave Joust getting manager of the year votes from me. I mean, he's getting my manager, him and Rojas. And again, like you said with Rojas, the Rich Hill thing was, I was listening to it on the radio. I was driving home, and when they batted him and then obviously kept him in before he obviously left that inning, he had 49 pitches. And for a team where the bullpen has just been absolutely destroyed from the last couple of weeks because of the starters not going long, you have 100 games in 3 days against the Braves because of all the fucking scheduling quirks. I mean, you kind of just had to say, listen, like you said, you have a veteran out there, 49 pitches, and they were high leverage pitches because he had the leadoff hitter on every inning to start the game for a few innings. He kind of just had to go, all right, let's see if this guy can get us there. He didn't. And you know what? It all turns out good in the end. And again, I still do not know. The Mets can say, it's Rojas the entire time. I still am not going to believe that it's not these brain trusts, and they're putting in their numbers, and they send stuff down to the clubhouse. And
Right.
a guy, like a lot of managers now, the managers are much more kind of like the connection between the media and the fans and then the clubhouse. I always think that's the way it goes. And I think Rojas has been great at that. Hence why we were able to tread water during the injury annihilation of April and May. But like, you have to go out there. You think Dick Mountain can get you out of it. Couldn't get you out of it. But you know what? The bullpen stepped up when they had to, like they have so many times this season. And we got trumpets. We got books. We got fuck bombs. We got Dick Mountain and everything. And we're up 4. Mets up 4.
And we're up 4.
As it always was, as it always will be. So we got 5 games in 3 days against the Braves coming up here.
What an absurd statement.
What an absurd statement. Like, just something you don't even bat an eyelash at anymore. I think the Phillies and Nationals have 8 games against each other in like the next 2 weeks. So the NL East is going to look markedly different or exactly the same in a couple weeks, but we'll be that much closer to the finish line. And hopefully we're moving up on a few of those teams by the time it's all said and done. And this is something I was going to go on like a long Twitter thing about this, but I'll just say it on the podcast since I only care about what Mets fans have to say it or think about it. I am so fucking done with hearing about the NL East being a shitty division. And listen, I get like it's not a great division right now in terms of the records, and every team has been like annihilated by injuries. But just look at the National League, the standings. It's the Mets. It's it's all the first. There's like the 3 first place teams are all good. Then in the West, obviously, you have the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Padres are all good. And other than that, everyone else stinks. Everyone else is like 500, a little above, a little below. The Reds are like the only other team that I think that are above 500, other than those 5 teams that have been kind of.
The Brewers are in first in that division, so they're pretty stacked. Too.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. The first place team. So it's us, the Brewers, the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Padres. And other than that, like every other team is 500, like a game above, a game below, or like they stink. So I am not going to. I had to apologize for the NFC East all fucking year last year. I am not doing it again with the National League East, considering every other, like basically, again, other than like the NL West kind of got the short end of the stick this year. They have 3 good teams. I can remember how many times where it was like there was 1 good team in the National League West and everyone else stunk out there. So I am #done apologizing for the NL East. Everyone thought the NL East was going to be like the toughest division in baseball. And you know what? We got a little lucky. A couple guys got hurt. Couple teams underperformed. And it's, by the time, next week's podcast rolls around, again, this could look completely different, or we could just be up 4 and just saying, all right, I hope we can pull the weight right now.
I think that, honestly, it's one of those things where when you're playing a shitty team in like an individual game and you're letting them hang around, eventually it's going to come back to bite you. So now's the time. If you're going to play 5 games against the Braves and you got the Nats and the Phillies going against each other, they're going to cannibalize each other. Hopefully we could just take the series like handily against the Braves starting tonight with the 2 7-inning games and move on from here, because this is the jumping off point. If we can get a healthy lead going into the beginning of August, that's when that's like moving day in golf.
Yep.
The entire month of August, just moving day. When you're setting yourself up for September and October runs, every team's going to look a little bit different with the trade deadline. But like the Nationals just got their dicks kicked in by the Orioles. So they're pretty much out of it in terms of like the front office being like, we need to make a decision whether we're going to be sellers or not. And we'll get into that in a little bit with like the Scherzer news and that sort of stuff. But like, if they're going to give up, I need them to take the Phillies out on their way down, and then we beat up the Braves, and then we're sitting pretty.
Yeah, this is about as confident as I've felt going into a Brave series in a long time. And maybe that's why I wish Kevin was around to kind of bring us back to reality a bit, because it does feel like we are riding a little high. And like, listen, that's the 90s Mets fan in me coming out, and the Braves did shove it up our ass a few times, but 2006 took out a lot of that when the Mets were the first team to take the NL East. I think since it was created, like the Braves won it every year after the repositioning happened, and then finally the Mets were the team that knocked them off. And there's still the Freddie Freemans out there, but I mean anything worse than 3 out of 5 I think is a failure for the series. Even with again, you're waiting for DeGrom to come back, Carrasco, the pitching's still up in the air, but with everyone coming back healthy, Pete getting hot, certain guys getting hot, McNeil looking good, even though he was a little dinged up. Anything less than 3 out of 5 against the Braves, and like you said, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5 would be a sweep would be an absolute godsend. But it's so tricky with those double headers too. It almost feels like you're going to split both double headers like the Mets always do, and you just got to win that one standalone game on what is that, Tuesday, right? I think Tuesday's the one standalone game.
Yep. Yeah, it's interesting the way they're setting it up too, because they're having Stroman go in the second game tonight, and Tropiano is pitching the first game at 5:40. So they're back-to-back games too. So it's like it's when they play that close together, I kind of get like a little nervous. It could be really good or it could be really bad. It just depends on how the days are for the bats.
We will never like this like we have to like shed this layer of skin of the Bullpens, and it will take years. It will take probably multiple World Series. It will it can happen. We've seen look at Red Sox fans, right? Like Red Sox fans are not exactly the most bashful bunch. They don't think the sky is falling after a couple of losses, which I mean, you want to talk about a team that can, say the sky is falling and freak out. I think Yankees fans, we don't have to hear from them the rest. I think yesterday might have killed them. Sunday might have killed Yankees fans. When they escaped with, I think what was it, Saturday night, they escaped with that win, and then Sunday comes right back around, and I wouldn't wish like what's happened to the Yankees on my worst enemy, but some of my worst enemies are Yankees fans who are experiencing that. So,
I mean, that guy that had the yips, if that's a Mets pitcher, the fucking sky is bowling, the city is burning, and every Yankee fan is that little girl on the swing watching it burn in the background. So I had the biggest smile on my face as he kept gripping the ball and throwing it directly into the dirt, into the backstop. I'm like, good. You're the second team in the city now, and this is what comes with that fucking shenanigans.
Yeah, I saw Mike Francesi. He tweeted how he's like, just a brutal way to lose a game, like a pitcher not being able to throw a strike, like 5 wild pitches in an inning. And I'm like, the fact that he's saying this about the Yankees and not the Mets is all you need to know, that we are currently on like the Mets timeline, like the Loki variants all worked out, and we are currently on another timeline, and it's a much better place. Uncle Stevie's at the top of the org chart, and everything is good. And we're making moves. So Rich Hill was the first move, and I blogged about it. I like the move. It's like it was a low cost, all things again. So who was it? Matt Dyer was the catcher, right? And Tommy Hunter, who we love. I think Kevin had him as his guy for a minute there while he was still healthy. But I don't think I'm perfectly fine with giving up on, again, Matt Dyer. Francisco Alvarez is at worst the next Mike Piazza in my mind. He is going to be an absolute masher. And if he could be a good defensive catcher, then, I mean, we're talking Johnny Bench at this point. And Tommy Hunter, love the guy. I mean, all-time moment, all-time quote with, the laughing. I got on the base in the show. Like, it was awesome. But a 35-year-old reliever who's bounced around the league recently and has back injuries, I think it was just a salary dump by the Rays. They got Nelson Cruz. His contract came along with his bat, and they kind of just had to make things work. And Rich Hill, Dick Mountain was the kind of a bonus for us, who the Mets were going after him, I remember, in the offseason. So
they've been trying to go after him, I feel like, for the last 3 seasons. Like since the old regime, it's always been like his name in the mix. And he's a lefty, so right away you're like, okay, he's got something special going. I don't care if he throws literally 69 miles an hour curveballs. Like when I was watching the recap, and they're like, well, he got out of it and he had like a pretty good first showing, but he got hit hard. And it's like, yeah, but he's like the crafty lefty. He's like if he's gonna be even an iota and a fraction of what Bartolo Colon was for this fan base, everyone's going to love Dick Mountain.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, the name Dick, Rich Hill being Dick Mountain and being with the Mets fan base, that's one of those matches made in heaven. You've been waiting for it. The baseball gods approve of it. And my guy, Chris, the teacher, tweeted me on Twitter, and he said he's basically a left-handed version of Rich Hill is basically a left-handed version of Ed Harris from Major League. Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball. He's just the old crafty lefty. He's probably throwing snot on the ball, sweat on the ball, whatever has to be done, 69-mile-per-hour curveballs, and the fan base is going to have fun saying Dick Mountain. That's all you can ask for. Now, I'm saying this as someone that has had Rich Hill in fantasy. I mean, I saw his Rich Hill's debut was 05, and the Mets in that lineup had Reyes, Wright, and Piazza in the lineup, when they faced him. So that's the guy we're dealing with here, and he's never been like the poster child of good health. He hasn't thrown more than 136 innings in a season since 2007, which is the season we do not speak of, which again is this whole thing having a lead in first place. It's the longest run the Mets have been in first since 2007. So trust me, I am not going to rust on my laurels at all this year until I see a little nice letter next to the Mets name in the standings. But the thing about Rich Hill, he is the king, and Mets fans know this too well. He's the king of it's just a little tweak something. It's going to be a day. It's going to be a week. It's going to be a month, 60-day IL. So I'm just telling Mets fans, he's the perfect little Band-Aid to get us through this weird stretch. Hopefully DeGrom comes back. Carrasco looked good in Syracuse yesterday. Hopefully we get all the pitching back, and everything's going to be all right. But I'm not banking on Rich Hill being in the rotation come even like late September into October. I hope he is. I hope he's available to us. It's just like if something, God forbid, happens to him, whether it's a blister or some other body part, I'm 100% going in eyes wide open on this one.
So I'll give you the rundown of when he got to the Dodgers in 2016 from Oakland. He pitched 6 games. Then he pitched 25, 25, 13, 8, 20, 19, and so far he's thrown 1 for the Mets. So he's pitched 20 games so far this season already. So it seems like he's a little over the hump when it comes to that. And if he could just bridge the gap for Carlos Carrasco and fingers crossed Syndergaard maybe making a comeback, then it's worth it already.
Oh yeah. And again, the thing is, whenever you trade with the Rays, you're like, all right, we got a guy the Rays liked enough to sign, so that's good. However, they just took someone from our system, and you're just waiting for that guy to become, like a fucking future all-star. So always
their analytics department is just different. Yeah. That's the type of team where under the Wilpons, you're like, well, we just got fleeced. This guy's like completely about to break down. Now I'm like, maybe we'll see how it goes. Like it could be a good pickup. I think that he's a good fit for us because he's slower. So like every team needs that guy who's gonna. If he's the 5th starter and you have DeGrom going the next day, so you got someone who's throwing 102 and you got 69-mile-an-hour curveballs, like as a tandem back-to-back days, that could be good when you're facing teams.
Yep. And again, I think having an extra lefty just on the roster is always a good thing because poor Aaron Loop, who's been great, and I was terrified. I admit, like first week, I'm like, I don't like this guy. It's to reverse his name because he just had that like bad vibe about him, and he might have just given up like a hit or a walk on opening day, and I was out on him. He's been awesome. Loop, there it is, and I think the Mets are going to have to address lefty bullpen. When the trade deadline comes, but nothing but respect for Rich Hill. And Kyle, I'm happy it's me and you right now. Give my guy Tylor Megill his flowers right now. Give it to him. Give him some roses.
Hey, if he's going to keep pitching like that, then guess what? You might even have like a 3 or 4 spot by the time you're done. Peterson's gone. He's not going to be back this season. It's looking like we needed somebody else to come up and have the feel-good story of the year. Tylor Megill. Who knew?
Tylor Megill. Yeah, it's only because his name sounds like a Game of Thrones name. That's the only thing that sold me. And I always just like a guy like he throws his like change up and it like hangs in the middle of the plate and they strike out on it. And I'm like, I just like a guy that throws a pitch that seems hittable and the guys can't hit it. So like you do that and you have a cool name. It doesn't take much to like impress me. So and he's been fucking good. Like I know his numbers, his like FIP, xFIP. They're saying like it's a little bit of smoke and mirrors right now, but first hit, first win. That was a huge game against, again, you do it against the Pirates, it's one thing. You do it against that fucking Blue Jays lineup, which I'm happy you only faced them 3 times. Like, that was not fun having to face, like, Vladdy. And it's just, like, the names, too. You're seeing Biggio and Bichette and Guerrero. It's like, like, the entire way. George Springer coming back. I was waiting for that to bite us. The old Mets get their shit pushed in by George Springer the entire weekend because they didn't sign him. Whereas this
the second he hit that home run, I was like, fuck, here we go.
Yep.
Thank God they're not in our division. Only have to see him occasionally. And he's been hurt all year. Talk about, like, I mean, counting your blessings, the fact that we didn't end up signing him. The 2 guys that we could have signed that every Mets fan was screaming, ourselves included, from a fucking mountaintop that we needed to get. One just came back and has been hurt all year, and the other one's got off-field issues like you read about, literally. So we lucked out in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, and I mean, even like Real Muto, who's been good, but I mean, McCann's been awesome for us too. After a rough start, and it just goes. I mean, we're idiots. It's not our money to spend, and because we didn't get those guys, we were able to load up on like the Alar brothers, and they went the depth route, which clearly is working so far because everyone got hurt. But yeah, it just goes to show you that. Sometimes the best moves you don't make are the whatever the fuck that phrase is. God damn it. Sometimes the best moves are the ones you don't make. And again, like I'm pretty sure I heard or was reported that like, the Mets were in on Bauer till the very end, and Springer, like the Blue Jays just, they gave him that extra year, the extra money. And like, it's not like the Mets were like, no, we're going to be smart here. Like, sometimes it's just a little bit of luck comes with it too. And I'm very happy because now the trade deadline coming up, it looks like we have some wiggle room. It sounds like, if Uncle Stevie wants to go over the luxury tax, he will. But at the same point, I don't think we have to. Like, it sounds like they can like make the numbers work, and if they move people in and out. So, I mean, the names we've heard, obviously Chris Bryant, we've been talking about for a little bit. Berrios on the Twins. Donaldson, I feel like those whispers have kind of disappeared, but I'm sure he's going to probably get moved. I think once, I think the Twins are clearly in selling mode. I don't think we'll be going after like a Buxton. Is Buxton even healthy right now? Because I feel like that's like, if you have Rich Hill and Buxton on the same team, they're just going to spontaneously combust and just like light on fire. Especially
no,
on, like, the Mets.
I haven't seen Buxton since like he was putting up MVP numbers and then got hurt. So I don't know what's going on with him.
Okay. But as of now, in terms of the trade deadline, I'm still like, and I know, listen, JD Double Davis, it's Kevin's guy. Shouldn't speak out of hand while Kevin's not here. But I still feel like come October, I just want to have a guy who's been there. I want to have a guy who is, an outright stud. And again, we've seen defense bite us in the biggest of spots in the playoffs. I want to have, and Chris Bryant is not like fucking, Brooks Robinson or anything like that, but it's just a guy who can play those positions, play them well. And even with, Dom, and you're moving Dom around in left field and stuff like that, and third base.
Ooh, by the way, he looks good in left.
He does.
He's making sliding catches. He's making all the plays you'd expect him to make. Left field is where you like hide your big bat anyway. You're like, oh, you can't play any position. This has always been baseball. Like, oh, you're not that strong of a fielder. Go play left field. If Dom Smith can be a manageable left fielder, and then you have the DH coming next year, and you can do him, Alonso, and McCann and get them spells, but then puts Nito behind the plate too. Because I sent it to you, the tandem of the two of them behind home plate, they're fourth best in throwing out runners. We went from literally the bottom of the basement in the past 3 seasons to all of a sudden we have like a manageable backstop. It's a huge difference. So if we could do something like that and go get a Bryant, that'd be perfect.
I love it. And so then the other name that's been bandied about is Max Scherzer. And I still like, there's like, different odds about where he's going to go. And it sounds like the Mets are the leader in the clubhouse. And I don't know how much those odds are like, they'll take the bets in and make some money on it just for like the publicity. And we will not say them because we do not speak of those people here. But I personally don't think Scherzer's coming. I'd love it. I also like, I don't want to give, the thing is like, you're then giving up something for Scherzer. I don't want to see that guy shove it up our ass for the next 5 years or whatever it may be. I think Scherzer is clearly like the probably has the highest floor of all or ceiling even of all the guys that are probably being, thrown out there right now in terms of pitchers. But I don't know, man. It doesn't like, I don't see them trading him in the NL East. And he's a crazy motherfucker. He'll just stay with the Mets.
All that money's backloaded too, and it's just like, I mean, he would be great in the spot, but to tie up all your money in that for that long, we're going to be paying him out. I don't know how they would structure it if we're giving him prospects and that the Nationals are still going to pay it off or whatever. We'd have to see how it pans out if it were to come to fruition. But the thing that I really like about all these like big names being thrown around and the Mets being tied to all of it is that the way I'm thinking of it is, when you're seeing the Padres going out and getting Adam Frazier, that's Cohen not looking within just our division. He's looking at the entire National League going, we need to go beat those guys when it comes to crunch time and the playoffs. Like, this is what's going to get us over the hump over the NL West, which is much better than every other team in the National League right now. This is what we need to do to build ourselves up, not just to win the NL East, but to get past them and to the World Series. So if they're going to put together trades like that where we're going to be able to compete with a team like the Padres, that's what you have to do.
Compete with the team like the Padres. We beat the team like the Padres.
That's
we beat their asses. We split with them out the road, and then we beat them here.
Did we even get Adam Frazier out when he was on the Pirates? No. And now he's going to be there with Tatis and everybody else. Like, them are the Hosmers of the world. Like, we need to build up our lineup if we're going to beat those teams.
Dude, I'm 100% with you. That was the last name I wanted to see going to like a competing
I was hoping we would get
National League team. Yeah, exactly. Like, I am done with anyone who was on the Pirates in the 2021 season. I don't want to see them in another lineup if the Mets make the playoffs because those dudes just don't like. Adam Frazier just doesn't get out. I couldn't have told you a thing about him before the Pirates series, but that just terrifies me again with all those other guys too who can hit for power, and that guy just gets on base every fucking time. It's going to drive me nuts. So that one hurt. I'm not like this is the time of year too where you have to almost root for if your team isn't trading for guys that they go to American League teams. Like Nelson Cruz doesn't end up, if we don't get Chris Bryant, he doesn't end up with a one of the playoff teams that we're going to have to face if they make the playoffs. So that's just as much a part of it. Trade deadline is Friday, which also is the first day of the black jerseys. So I already have it in my mind here. Mets announced Chris Bryant, the Chris Bryant trade, and his jersey is the black jersey, and it's just come everywhere on Mets Twitter. You're swimming in cum looking for other tweets because everyone is just having a fucking, an absolute fit. I hope, Uncle Stevie's fucking playing with our emotions too. He's like, do you want to pay more now, or do you want to wait to the deadline where you pay last? And that was when the fan base was in the sky is falling mode. Everything's a little better now. I would
SNY put out a graphic of him with the black uni. I don't know if you saw it, but those blue eyes with the blue pinch with the blue stripe. Oh, it's popping up. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Tell me he's not made for that.
He is so goddamn good looking too. I forgot how good looking. Yeah, and he wears the stubble well. He wears the stubble well, and they bring out the baby blues. And I can already tell you, it's gonna be tough. If the Mets do get Chris Bryant, I love the Chicago guys. Carl's going to have a vendetta against us because we took his beloved Chris, and we will treat him well. I've had Cubs fans reach out to me and be like, don't you dare take my Chris Bryant. I promise you, Cubs fans, we are going to treat Chris Bryant with nothing but love. And I think it's going to be a little summer fling. I thought that was going to be the case with Yo too, but this doesn't with Boris and all that kind of stuff. This doesn't feel like one of those things that's going to be able to last forever, unfortunately, just because there's so many contracts that Mets have between Lindor, DeGrom's going to probably opt out. They have to figure all that stuff out. God knows what's happening with Conforto. At some point, Pete Alonso is going to actually have to get paid more than a couple of bucks to play baseball and stuff like that. Goddamn Cano's coming back now. All right, we're not going to bring that up. We're not going to bring that up. And by the way, Jared Kelenic update. All I know is I have him in fantasy. He stinks right now. He absolutely stinks. So we can rest easy on him for at least a few more weeks, if not the season. Speaking of former Mets, Steven Matz came back. It was the perfect, yet another one of those perfect days where it's the ex-Mets pitcher comes back, doesn't pitch great, but doesn't pitch terribly. Mets get the win. Happened with Harvey the first time. It happened with Matz, and it happened with they beat Wheeler too, right? I think they beat Wheeler this year. So all the old, 5 vases or whatever the hell we called them once upon a time, come back. Steven Matz, I didn't know this. He got a welcome back reel.
Yeah, they gave him the video tribute. He was getting that type of treatment and, welcoming him back. I mean, he got drafted out of high school, second round, number 1 pick of the Mets that year. I remember it like it was yesterday because I grew up playing with and against him. And he was on the cover of Mets magazine. He was supposed to be the guy. And he came up with him and DeGrom are best friends from coming up through the minors. They actually, one of their ballparks is on a waterway and they're big fishers. So they would go play the game and then go out on the boat immediately after every day. So they got really close. He was always the guy. Obviously people didn't think DeGrom was DeGrom at the time, but he was always the guy coming through the ranks. And then what was it? He slept on the couch and he hurt his back. He slept on his arm wrong. He was just constantly always nagging injuries where you just feel bad for a guy like that. And then when he went to the Blue Jays, he started out great. And then every Met fan's oh, great. And then we're going to have to watch this guy shove it down everyone's throats when he couldn't do it for the Mets. Now it kind of seems like he's coming back down to earth. So
yeah,
best wishes. That's the best I could do.
I'm fine with the welcome back reel for at this rate. I think the Mets should always try to take the high road with Uncle Stevie. And I think other players probably see that. And again, it's always just make yourself. The Giants have done it for years. Once a Giant, always a Giant, which gets a little ridiculous when you have a guy who comes in for a game. And I mean, the Knicks do it too, and that's the most toxic franchise forever with James Dolan. But I think that stuff works. And like you said, it was a Long Island thing. It was a local thing. Grandpa Matz is forever a goddamn legend. That 2015, him hit that first game, he hits the home run. He has a gem of an outing. It was absolutely it was like a storybook, and it slowly degraded into where we were calling him Sven Matz last year, and he couldn't get it out to save his life. And you knew, I will say this about Steven Matz. When he was really off, you could just have the rest of the night to yourself. So that's that's the nicest thing I'll say about late era Steven Matz in New York is you were 6 runs in the
first inning. Yes.
We could go out, let's get ice cream with the kids and have ourselves a nice night out tonight. We could watch a movie because the Mets are not going to win this game against the Phillies.
Yep. Which you can't do with this team anymore because you just write them off, and next thing you know, you're checking the box score, and they're right back in it.
Yeah,
never seen anything like it, really. Like they're the comeback kids, the say hey comeback cardiac kids, whatever you want to call them. It's just they never say die, and even when they look like shit the entire game, you know who they are? They're like Tim Tebow in football, where it was like, oh, Tebow time because there's 2 minutes left, and like he's looked like shit the entire day until there's 2 minutes and it's crunch time. Next thing you know, the Alars are crushing baseballs. Like that's just what happens.
It doesn't make a fucking ounce of sense.
Lick of sense.
Yep. And it's been an awesome year for that. Yeah, like a lot of good teams. Like we've had Mets teams that come back and win, but the way that, especially when it was like the AAA guys and the bench mob doing it earlier in the year, it's definitely been a wacky thing. And once Pete gets hot, it's all over because he is like 2019. That's the one thing I think everyone forgot, at least the casual fans outside of Mets fans who remember, is like he set the rookie home run record, but he also came through clutch so many times. And obviously he had like the thing with the 9/11 cleats. Like he just did all the right things. And the Donnie Stevenson stuff, I thought the Donnie Stevenson stuff was good. And then he kind of took it a little too far. We didn't like it. But the latest thing is the home run horse his idea, or was that like a team thing?
I'm going to have to say it's his idea. I think that who else is coming up with that?
Yeah.
He had the T-shirts out almost immediately.
Yeah. Pete Alonso is hustling like it's 2010 Barstool. Like if there's something to make a shirt of, he is putting it out. Donnie Stevenson shirts. Like we beat him to the punch with Donnie Stevenson. And he's like, I'm not letting those fucking cream cheese bloggers beat me on the horse. He had a fucking horse shirt out before, like, I think all four of us even knew what the horse was at that point.
Yep.
So shout out to him. I mean, again, like he makes $1 million for the Horn Derby. He makes like not even that much for 162 game season. So Pete got to pay bills. So he like do what you got to do, young man. So this is the thing. I think we went over it on the group chat. I like the horse. I personally think it's fun. It's like, everyone has the belts and the hats and the crowns and all that kind of stuff before games, after games. And like the turnover chain was a thing in college football. I do like the horse. I think it's original. I could see like my friends and I doing something stupid like that, and it's fun riding it around. Kevin obviously hates it because Kevin hates everything.
Right.
And I will say this, like if I found out the backstory of this all, there's a good chance I could hate it too. But at its face value, I like it. Where does Kyle fall on the home run horse? Be honest.
I need him. Yes. So I need him after the home run to do the Happy Gilmore and stick him between his legs and start smacking his ass as he's going back to the dugout. Then I'm sold. Then it's a lot of fun that the whole fan base can get on. When it's a stuffed animal, I'm like, I don't really. It is what it is. It's a long season. If that's what they need to like get them going over the hump. You have this Donnie Stevenson get them over the first hump. Now you get the home run horse. Like whatever. If they're having fun with it and they're winning games and we're not becoming a laughing stock because of it. But I would like to see like some of the guys that's like going to be the new churve, like to just throw the bat between their legs and start riding the horse.
Yeah, stupid things like the horse, the churve, like that's winning teams. Though they always like grow out their personalities. And the salt and pepper shakers, that thing died a fiery death in like April. But the horse, like, and I think the horse, and this is how it plays out in my head, like. You start adding stuff to it, like they had the cigar, the goggles, the mask, the shirt. Like you start putting stuff on it, like little trinkets of the season. It's like the parakeet, right? With Yo, and he has like the yellow armband. So whatever it takes to like get us to fucking meaningful games in October, I am down for whatever it takes. If it makes Pete happy, if it makes the rest of the team happy, and again, like you said, like riding it around. That's something that everyone has fun with in the dugout. And like a pitcher hits a home run, he gets the horse. It could be a lot of fun. And speaking of animals, the squirrel comes through. I think Frank was reading his last rites because he stepped on the base wrong. But Jeff McNeil ends up being okay with that big fucking hit yesterday. The hit's got his back. I still need to see him. Like, I'm still worried about his health with this too. And Rojas pushed the right buttons. I think Kevin tweeted, if you're going to get on Rojas about Dick Mountain staying in the game, you got to give him credit for McNeil, because I think a lot of people were like, we're going to have to restart his 10-day clock now because we had him pinch hit. Biggest hit of the game-winning hit, and Edwin Diaz, I'll tell you. He looked better yesterday, but my trust, I said I was 100 out of 100 on the trust meter. I don't know where it is, but until those spin rate numbers go back up and we get a couple more clean innings, and, I'm not just talking about like the one on Friday night where we had some hard hit balls, like go and find gloves. I need like 2 strikeouts. Slider is absolutely just filthy. I need a couple more of those before I can get anywhere near to like 80s into 90s in terms of trust of Diaz.
It's honestly, And it's just because of how bad he was in 2019 that I think that it's just we're getting PTSD flashbacks of it.
Yeah.
When you have it happening, I'm more comfortable with him than I was like during Familia's like implosion after he had the record for most saves in a season. Because when Familia was off, you were like, he's never going to locate the strike zone. Diaz just randomly finds it some at bats. Like he could be completely missing the catcher's glove, and then next thing you know, he throws like 3 perfect balls, and you're like, okay, we're out of it. Thank God. Like Familia, you could just write it off. You're like, well, this game's over. So Diaz, it's like so hit or miss. You just flip the coin for the night.
When that ball, that wild pitch that was like 10 feet outside, I missed it. I'm like, how the fuck? Like I just see like the runner pulling up the second. Like, how did he do it? And then I saw it was like 10 feet outside. I'm like, oh, it's that. It was one of those Diaz pitches. Which again, shout out Miss Met. I saw her tweet where I believe it was Edwin Diaz at home. With Narcos plays, he's like a 2.3 ERA, but on the road, it's like a 6.8. Like, trust the Narcos, trust the trumpet. Hashtag trust the trumpets. There's our fucking rallying cry there. Trust the Diaz, trust the trumpets, trust Joe DeMayo. And if you have any problems, tweet at PSL to Flushing and yell at him. I don't want to take any more of the Diaz heat. I'm the positive Mets fan. I'm riding fucking the Diaz bandwagon. I try to get the Lindorks dead. I'm riding Daniel Jones, so I'm going to be like having to like get on the Dan wagon for the Giants now. So I have a lot of wagons of, that negative fans in general like to throw tomatoes at. So like, just like, go at Joe DeMayo if you have any problem with Diaz. Like this line is not open right now for Diaz hate. I got a few.
I saw the hardball tweet at you saying like we need to bring Narcos to the away games and have you in the stands doing like Big Papa.
Just put some headphones on Edwin Diaz like it's hardball. Yeah, exactly. I like that. That would be. I mean, shit. Like we've already said, the Coors Light. Like throw him in the Coors Light bullpen chill out chamber so he doesn't know the score. And then on the road, you're just having him wear.
Just get him some AirPods. Get him some AirPods. Let him run out to the mound with Narcos blast and throw him in his back pocket, and there you go. You're off and running. I just fixed them. There you go.
We just fixed Edwin Diaz on the podcast. No big deal. Got to shout out everyone who went to Barstool, the Ballpark on Saturday. It was the one ugly game of the series, which again, like they had chances to, like, it was like, what was it, 5-3, 6-3, and bottom of the 5th or 6th, and Pete was up. Like they had their chances. It got ugly. But looks like it was an absolute blast. I saw that cup snake. I mean, that was a fucking anaconda we had going on.
Yes.
Frank the Tank went on like a post-game rant. Season's over. Series, they're never going to win a series again. And shout out to 96ers. I know a few of them helped pipe down Frank the Tank. Saw some thumbs up pictures. It was beautiful to see. We're getting closer and closer to, I know a lot of people are going to the August game, August 14th, the Dodgers. And listen, a lot of people have asked about Barstool, the Ballpark. If you go to the page now, they don't even have the schedule because I think they had to take it down because they were, selling tickets to a thing that they didn't know how it was going to be with all the COVID restrictions and stuff like that. I know that game was sold out on August 14th. I don't know what's going on in September. I kind of yield to Kevin on all this stuff, so he kind of gives me the information when he gets it. But as far as I know, August 14th is still going off. I'm going to try to get there. I have other stuff going on, but I'm going to try to get there. I'm pretty sure Kev's going. Are you going on the 14th, Kyle?
As of right now, I'm up in the air on it. I'm going to be traveling. I have my vacation the week before. So when we're coming back, I don't know if I'm going to be able to with work and everything.
Oh, we got a good crew going. So again, that motherfucker Joe DeMayo, I'm throwing him under the bus left and right here. And I say motherfucker Joe DeMayo because Joey Langone, it's the same name. So I apologize. It's a Podfathers thing. But we got a good crew going. And I mean, that Dodger series is going to feel like potentially a playoff preview at that point. So we'll get more Barstool the Ballpark information as it comes. But we had our first kind of like quote unquote real one that was, capacity. Again, this is the thing about the 14th. I think would be all right because it's still summer. But this fucking Delta variant shit, I don't know what's going to happen in September. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow at this point. I just saw that New York might have to start wearing masks indoors again. So this is that's the bad juju stuff. We're not going to talk about that, but everything good through Barstool, the Ballpark. We got the Bravo series coming up. We got the Red series coming up this weekend. Black jerseys coming out. Winker, let's see if the motherfucker. We should see if Winker's going to leave us some tickets. We could go. We could heckle him, wave at him. I mean, hopefully, I'm telling you, Winker could hit a game-winning home run, or he could have like a game-losing error. Because I'm telling you, he's the 3 banana peels. He's the three green shells. You never truly know what you're going to get from Jesse Winker. I've seen both sides of him. I don't know what he was talking about that bullpen too. He's like, oh no, we were talking about something else. I think he was hyping him up, and he didn't want to admit that he fucking won that series. Give him the blown save.
Something totally different right after I was just there.
Yeah, exactly. We're talking about something completely different. Not at all hyping them up. We're talking about our favorite Netflix shows. Get out of here, Winker. Right. But we have 5 so someone Jared O'Neill said that it's 5 games in 4 days against the Braves. I thought it was 3 games, 3 days.
No, yeah, it's a doubleheader today, then single games until Thursday.
Okay, so 5 games in 4 days is not nearly. I mean, it's still like a crazy sentence to say out loud in baseball. But 5 games in 4 days. Bravo's coming in. The old Mets fans are running for the hills. Freddie Freeman's going to kill us. All this kind of stuff. But I'll tell you, Acuna batting leadoff is such a terrifying thing. And like, I don't know why every team doesn't just bat their best player leadoff. You know what I mean? And I understand like construction lineup, all that stuff. Not having to deal with that terror 5 times in a week is a nice bonus. And like, it sucks he's hurt. The guy is like, there's certain players where it's just hard to like, you could be rivals with him. It's hard to like not just be amazed by that guy. That guy is he's so fucking cool too, you know? And that's how it was. That's how it was with like when it was the Chipper Jones years. Like I loved Andrew Jones in center field. Like he would catch every ball the Mets hit, but it was like you couldn't not enjoy watching that guy. He was just such a pleasure to watch. Chipper Jones, on the other hand, would fucking kill us like Freddie Freeman, and then you're like, well, that guy sucks. So not having to deal with him. And again, like I'm at the point now where, especially the Braves, like I know like there was rumors that Freeman could get traded because they haven't given him an extension and all that kind of stuff. I'm at the point now where it's like, man, I can't wait till Acuna's and he's going to look great in orange and blue pinstripes. We can start doing that now that we have Uncle Stevie as the owner. So we got 5 against the Braves, 3 against the Reds this weekend. And I mean, so that's 8 games in 7 days. I don't know, man. So we did against the Braves. I think you got to win at least 3. I'd say like going 5-3 is, I think, worst case scenario for this week. Like if you don't go 5-3, I'm getting a little worried, and that's with the pitching kind of being up in the air. Do we have any news on Jake? What's the latest with Jake?
He threw a bullpen yesterday. They said that he's been out so long that he might need like a rehab start. And then I saw the minor league Cardinals tweeted out their schedule. They have to play them again for 5 straight games. They're like, you got to be kidding me. So they're thinking that he might pitch one of those. So we'll see. He hasn't been tapped to throw at which game yet, but they're playing him in 5 straight games. So like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
That's fucking perfect. That Cardinals Twitter account's great too, man. If Jake comes back and just absolutely mows him down again, oh my God, they're what is that? The number 2 from no, not number 2. The Will Ferrell's character from Austin Powers, which is like a 20-year-old reference at this point. I realize I'm making, but he just keeps getting like injured and killed. You know what I mean? I'm still alive. I'm on fire. Someone help me. That's the Cardinals. They just have to face Jacob deGrom throwing 102-mile-per-hour cheddar at them nonstop as they like try to get like 18-year-olds swinging, hitting the ball. Carrasco. They said it was a control issue the first game where he got shelled in Syracuse or, had an awful day. Sounded like yesterday was much better. So, I mean, again, until Carlos Carrasco arrives in Flushing and is starting a game and actually pitches, he is not a real Mets player until I see that. Noah, I don't even care about Noah at this point. Anything we get from him, I think, is a bonus. And, I mean, Walker, Stroman, they've had a couple hiccups along the way, but I feel like they'll be all right. And if not, like, they'd slide into the 3 and 4 if Carrasco and deGrom come back and can pitch. I saw Carrasco was throwing like 96, which makes me feel good. And I don't know. I'm feeling fucking pretty good. That's what happens when you beat a team like the Blue Jays 2 out of 3 and have your old biggest rival limping into town and hopefully just beat the shit out of them.
That's all you can ask for, right?
Yeah.
You just need them to get hot at the right time in division, and next thing you know, we're doubling 4-8 in the lead. That would be huge. If we could get somewhere near 10, that was the magic number for Frank. If that's the magic number for Frank, I'll be happy with 8.
Yeah, exactly. As Chris Shanbrom says here, imagine having Bauer and not Walker right now in the clubhouse. I mean, oh my! And I saw like there were some reports, and I don't know what's the truth. It's like a lot of the Dodger players are like, I don't want this guy back. Like whenever he does come back, and it's like, yikes, that's oh god, yeah. We won't even bring the that's the B word, basically. We don't talk about the B word on this podcast. We don't want to get anything thrown at us. But yeah, again, sometimes the best moves are the ones you don't make. So that's a big W. And you hit me up where Jake could be the first ever player to win the Cy Young despite not qualifying for any of the stats. Is that what people are saying right now?
Yeah, they're saying he would potentially have the best ERA, but not qualify for the title based on innings, and they still think that he could be the front runner for the Cy Young.
That's fucking bananas. And I mean, this is the Jacob, like the two players of this season you look back on right now. It's Ohtani and Jacob deGrom. You know, Tatis, I guess you could put in there too, but it's been like, you know, those are the two guys that have been the story of the season. Obviously, Jake has gotten hurt and all that stuff, but I mean, I don't know how you could even like really the Mickey Mouse Cy Young last year. I mean, we gave it fucking Bauer granted it was during the COVID shit, but I guess Burns and Woodruff would be the other guys. Damn, Gausman too. Fuck, they some of these guys are fucking hurling. How the hell do the Brewers and the White Sox have 4 of the 5 highest guys in ERA in terms of, you know, guys who have qualified? That's bananas. Lynn and Rudon, and then Burns and Woodruff. Something out there in the Midwest right now.
Well, that's because they're eating the Central alive.
That's true. Hey, listen.
As shitty as we say the NL East is.
We do not throw stones at the NL Central. After the Pirates, I am done doing that. The Cubs swept us earlier in the year. I'm not looking for like this Red Series. I'll tell you. There's just certain guys that I just don't like facing because of it's because of the way they play, but also like the way people talk about them. Like Joey Votto is just like this savant of hitting that I just never feel comfortable when he's at the plate. I'm like, somehow he's gonna be like, you know, I'm gonna do this bad. I'm gonna inside out this one 3 inches over the third baseman's head, and somehow he could do it. Like he's almost like a trick. He's almost like a trick shooter. You know what I mean? Someone who could like, you know, play pool. Like he just has like that like fucking Rain Man kind of like playing the angles kind of shit. I do not like facing like Joey Votto, like Winker. Winker, I fear because he's like a Mets killer. Castellanos, I fear if like an announcer is talking about a tragedy or something very serious. But like Joey Votto could be, you know, 90 years old in like a wheelchair and wearing a blanket, and I'm like, that guy can get a hit right now against us.
Yeah,
he's one of those like tricky kind of dudes. You know what I mean?
Yep, he's going to be like the Julio Franco of the Reds. He's never going to go away. And it's so weird. His swing is just so built for like getting base hits. That's how Franco was. So it's like he never pops up. But do you ever remember hearing that stat last year? He like popped up. He fouled out down the first baseline or to the catcher, and they were like, he's literally done that 3 times his entire career.
He's the lesser version of the Tony Gwynn stats, right? Where Tony Gwynn like missed a pitch 5 times the entire like 92 season or something. And you're just like, is that real or not? I don't know, but I'm gonna say it's real because Tony Gwynn was that fucking good. And Joey Votto is like the same kind of thing. And that's why I hate facing those guys. So we got 5 against the Braves, 3 against the Reds. We'll be back. And that's the other thing. For the podcast, we'll have an emergency pod if any big moves coming through. We'll put Dick Mountain as maybe like the bar. Like it has to be bigger than Dick Mountain. No offense to the Dick, to the mountain range. But you know, if Chris Bryant, Berrios, Donaldson, even I think those are worthy of an emergency pod. We'll get Kevin on for that. And then obviously our usual Thursday into Friday pod. And I mean the deadline is Friday, so I don't know what the hell is going to go on. If you had to choose right now, pitcher or a hitter, what are you choosing?
I'm always going to go with a pitcher. I mean, I feel like J.D. Davis is the guy that we're trying to move off of. He's the only one that's hitting like 350. Yeah, so I don't know how long he's going to keep that up, but at the same time, it's like we've had bigger issues. If the offense actually turns into what we thought it was going to be, then I think that pitching is where we need to focus and at least make sure that we're all shored up. Am I going to be complaining if we get Chris Bryant? No, obviously. But yeah, I think pitching is the better need when it comes to like a long run in the playoffs. What about you?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Just Chris Bryant is such the sexy pick right now.
I know.
So, you know, so I think I'd have to say Bryant. And even like if there was like a Berrios Donaldson move, I could rock with that as well. Just because Berrios is I have him like every year in fantasy, and I just like watching his like pitches. Like Pitching Ninja throws Berrios shit, I'm turning off the lights and locking the door. Like I'm like, oh, we're gonna have some fun watching this here. And I do think I will say this, like Brian is just he's like the pedigree, and he just feels like the kind of like move that you're making to say, hey, we're going for the World Series.
Right.
Donaldson does have that personality though that I think could like be like getting the Mets fans going crazy. Him and Pete with the clubhouse, I think it would be fun. But I know like it's like eating your vegetables. I know pitching is the right answer here, but I still just want that snack. I still just want that hitter. You know what I mean? I still want that chicken fingers.
Well, you can go with Bryant, who's the rental, or you get Donaldson, who's older, and you're stuck with him for 2 more years. So it's like, which one are you really going to go for? That's where it's tough.
And I will say this, like I know prospect hugging. I don't know if which moves can be made without giving up Mauricio or Alvarez, but like those 2 guys, I just feel like are fucking good. Like Batty sounds like he's fucking just crushing it too. But in Stevie we trust. In the 22-year-old Ivy League nerd crushing spreadsheets right now in the Mets front office, we trust. We got fucking Dick Mountain here for basically it sounds like a song. Those kind of moves, you make a couple of those small moves, you're going to have to get, I think, at least one more lefty arm in the bullpen. I wouldn't mind another righty arm in the bullpen because I'll tell you, I love Trevor May, friend of the program. I love Familia, like Skinny Familia has been doing well. Edwin Diaz, trusted Diaz. It still feels like we're cobbling together, getting out of these games. So as always, no matter what happens on the field, on Twitter, no matter what everyone says, that's up for. Gotta believe.